Attention passionate Chicago, Bears fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the NFC North and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Chicago Bears' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Chicago Bears fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your friends and Chicago Bears fans. Let's get to the news, all right, folks. Today we have some serious news that could shake up the NFC North and, more importantly, have a profound impact on the Chicago Bears' trajectory in the coming seasons. You've probably heard the rumors floating around, and I want to break down everything for you, because what's happening right now is not just a simple trade. It's a strategic move that could redefine the Bears' front seven and their defensive dominance, or lack thereof, in 2024 and beyond. So let's start with the core of this story. The Jets are actively exploring the possibility of trading Jermaine Johnson, their promising edge rusher, to Chicago. Now Johnson, for those who might not be completely up to date with the latest NFL buzz, has been emerging as a disruptive force on the Jets' defense. In his career, he's accumulated a total of 142 tackles, which is already solid, but it's his pass-rushing numbers that really catch your eye. He's registered 5 sacks so far, showing that he has the potential to be a game-changer off the edge. Plus, he's managed 32 quarterback hits, which speaks to his consistent pressure and disruptive presence. And that's not just numbers for the sake of stats. He's been recognized as a Pro Bowler for 2024, and PFF has rated him at an impressive 87. A testament to his impact on the field. Now, the Jets are in a bit of a rebuild mode, especially on defense. They run a 3-4 defensive scheme, and their overall pass rush has been underwhelming this season, ranked around 22nd in the league with just 22 sacks total. Their offensive line hasn't been much help either, allowing 27 sacks, which is a significant number when you consider the Jets' offensive struggles overall. And let's be honest, the Jets are in a tricky spot. They're trying to rebuild their roster, especially the secondary, and they're looking for ways to free up cap space and build more draft capital. This is where Johnson comes into play. According to recent reports from Adam Schefter and other insiders, the Jets are considering trading Johnson for a third-round pick in 2026 and Austin Booker, the promising edge rusher prospect. Now, this trade makes sense for the Jets in a couple of ways. First, they're trying to alleviate around $12 million in cap space, which they can then redirect toward their quarterback situation, especially if they're not sold on extending someone like Rodgers or any other veteran QB they might be eyeing. Second, acquiring a draft pick and a young player like Booker allows them to continue their rebuild, especially on defense, without sacrificing too much in the short term. But here's where it gets really interesting for the Bears. The Chicago front seven has been a point of concern this season, particularly in pass rush and run defense. They're currently ranked around 22nd in sacks with just 22 total, which is a number that needs to improve if Chicago truly wants to contend. Their rotation has been heavy, and they're desperately looking for that disruptive presence who can elevate the entire defense. Enter Jermaine Johnson. He's exactly the kind of player who can complement their existing pass rushers, like DeMarcus Walker or Yannick Ngakoue, and help transform the Bears' defense from middle-of-the-road to top tier. And the numbers support this potential. Johnson's 2025 season was hampered somewhat by a knee injury sustained in Week 2, which limited his snaps to about 72%. Despite that, he still managed 26 tackles, 5 sacks, and was in the top 5 in pressures with 34. His win rate at 19% and EPA per rush of -0.15 show he's a consistent producer when healthy. His ability to generate pressures and create chaos in the backfield is exactly what Chicago needs to turn their defense into a real nightmare for opposing quarterbacks. Now, it's important to highlight the fit here. The Bears are looking for an ascending edge player, someone who can bring energy, disrupt plays, and complement their existing pass rushers. Johnson's profile fits perfectly into that mold. Plus, with his recent performance, he's shown he can be a difference maker even after coming back from injury. His PFF grade of 87. 8 in 2024 proves he's one of the more effective edge defenders in the league when healthy. The potential for growth is huge, especially considering his age and the Bears' need for youth and explosiveness on the front line. Meanwhile, on the Jets' side, they see Booker, a young edge with a PFF rating of 76. 2, as a piece to their rebuilding puzzle. Booker has shown flashes of promise and could develop into a solid rotational player or even a future starter for New York. They also value the draft pick as a way to continue accumulating assets for their long-term plan. This trade, if it goes through, would be a win-win for both sides, but the key here is how much each team values Johnson's potential and what they're willing to give up in the short term for future gains. For the Bears, this move is more than just about adding a player. It's about signaling their intent to be aggressive on defense. General Manager Ryan Poles has been clear about wanting to build a front seven that can impose its will, especially against the run and the pass. Acquiring Johnson would inject some much-needed upside into their pass rush, giving them a real shot at elevating their defense from the 15th ranking to a top 9 unit, as some projections suggest. The impact wouldn't just be in sacks. It would ripple through the entire defense, creating more opportunities for turnovers, forcing quick throws and pressuring quarterbacks into mistakes. And let's not forget the current state of the Bears' secondary. With injuries to players like Stevenson, who's battling a shoulder injury, and others like Johnson himself, who's been limited by a calf injury, the defense has struggled to hold opponents under 25 points per game. Improving the pass rush could alleviate some of the pressure on the secondary, giving them a better chance to hold teams in check and keep the Bears competitive in close games. From a strategic point of view, the Bears are sitting at 4-2 in the NFC North, which is a surprisingly strong start considering their roster and the competition. Their pass rush, while decent, needs that extra spark to elevate them into real playoff contenders. The addition of Johnson could be that spark. His ability to generate pressures, combined with the already talented group they have, could push Chicago's defense into the top 10 range, and that's a game-changer in today's NFL, where pass rush is king. Looking at the bigger picture, this move also has playoff implications. The Bears have some favorable upcoming schedules, and if they can shore up their defense with a player like Johnson, they could become a dark horse in the NFC. Their Super Bowl odds, which were at plus 2,000 earlier in the season, have improved to plus 1,500, reflecting growing confidence in their roster. Johnson's presence could be the final piece needed to push them over the edge, especially if he performs well in the playoffs, where his career averages of 2.5 sacks per postseason show he can rise to the occasion when it matters most. Now, I want you to think about the potential long-term impact. If Chicago manages to land Johnson, they're not just making a short-term upgrade. They're building a foundation for sustained success. A player like him, with his explosiveness and disruptive ability, can become a cornerstone of their defense for years to come. It also sends a message to the rest of the league. The Bears are serious about winning, about building a defense that strikes fear into opponents, and about establishing themselves as a real force in the NFC. But let's also consider the Jets' perspective. They're not just giving up on Johnson. They're reallocating resources and draft capital to other areas of their roster. It's a calculated move, one that fits their current strategic approach. They're trying to maximize their cap space and draft assets, which could pay dividends in the future, especially if Booker develops into a solid contributor and if they hit on other draft picks. This is a classic rebuild move, trading a promising young player to accelerate their plans, even if it means sacrificing some short-term defensive firepower. In the end, what we're witnessing is a fascinating chess match between two teams with very different goals. The Jets are looking to rebuild and retool, focusing on cap space and draft capital, while the Bears, under their new regime, are trying to accelerate their timeline and build a defensive front that can dominate. If this trade happens, it might be the move that elevates Chicago from a middling team to a real playoff contender, especially if Johnson's disruptive presence translates into more wins and a stronger push in the postseason. For all you Bears fans out there, this is exciting news. It's a move that signals the team's ambition, that they're not content with just being mediocre. They want to be great, and adding a player like Jermaine Johnson could be the catalyst for that. The NFC North is already competitive, with teams like Minnesota and Green Bay trying to find their footing, but Chicago making bold moves like this shows they're ready to take the fight to everyone else. The potential here is enormous, and I can't wait to see how it unfolds. And now, Chicago Bears fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this? Do you think Johnson is the piece that takes Chicago's defense to the next level? Are you excited about the possibility of seeing him suit up in navy blue and orange? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Chicago Bears. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for the latest Chicago Bears news. We're in for an exciting ride, and this trade talk could be the beginning of something big for the Bears. Thanks for sticking with me, and as always, bear down.